Morning Dish.
He's the hardest working man in show business. His band's music takes you into the midnight hours. And when you wake up, his voice is back on your radio alarm clock. How on earth did this happen?
Well, Jeff saw me taking out the trash at the radio station.
And he won another award.
But this one is better.
I'm your boogeyman. That's what I am.
It's the Morning Dish with the 2019 Radio Personality of the Year winner, Stephen Phillips.
You paying attention to this, Packy?
And Murphy's own Sherry Raines.
Yeah, you must have given horseback passes to the right guy, Stephen.
Well, giddy up.
And Packy Smith's Shetland pony is right alongside.
You guys know these demo tapes don't just edit themselves together, right?
Well, all right.
3 cheers for Stephen Phillips.
Y'all need to help Stephen Phillips out over there. Out the door and off the radio.
Here's Stephen Phillips.
All righty, folks, we're back with you, and we have a young lady on the phone. Who we got, Packy?
We've got Erin Perrine, and she is the Director of Press Communications for the Trump campaign. How you doing, Erin?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
We're about froze to death down here in Georgia, 24 degrees.
Ooh, it's actually warmer in Virginia right now.
Golly, I know that's right. Y'all have been busy going with all the stuff that's going on with the elections, and I am all about counting every vote that needs to be counted and throwing out the ones that's not. So where are we at now? I mean, one of the things that would come up yesterday is some of this stuff in I guess it was Michigan?
Yep. Yeah. So yesterday in Michigan, in Wayne County, where Detroit sits, the Republican county folks there wanted to not certify the outcome because there's a discrepancy in the numbers between the votes cast and the votes counted. And they said they didn't want to do that. And then they were berated. They were threatened. They were screamed at. They were called racist. And they caved in and agreed to certification if the Democrat county folks there would agree to an audit, would agree to having the votes looked at and where the discrepancy was later on, but they certified anyways. So we saw that bullying won in Michigan, intimidation and threats won in Michigan yesterday in Wayne County. We still have an ongoing federal litigation there regarding equal access, regarding violation of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, and making sure that we also look at the Dominion voting machine errors that we have encountered in Michigan.
Well, now this Dominion thing is a really big deal going on right now, and I don't understand why everybody's not really upset about this. So are y'all investigating the Dominion itself as far as the software going on?
So specifically in Michigan, what we are asking is that we have access to the Dominion voting machines, because in one county in Michigan, we saw that 6,000 votes were flipped from President Trump to Joe Biden, and those were caught. But Dominion voting machines are used in counties across Michigan. Mm-hmm. So we are asking for access to those machines to see if other discrepancies, other vote flips were not caught. You wouldn't think that's a controversial thing to want to make sure we investigate and we get these vote counts right, but Democrats in the media want to say that this election is done and over with. I mean, 2 years ago, the New York Times did a piece on how Dominion voting machines are susceptible to fraud and hacking and can be manipulated. And the state of Texas doesn't use Dominion voting machines for those exact reasons. Right. But now that we're asking, oh, well, then we're just being sore losers in the media's mind.
Well, now, did not the founder or the guy that developed the software that said that he could change 1 million votes with the touch of a key? I mean, did that not come out somewhere? I thought I read that.
I'm not sure I saw that, but we've seen multiple studies. I mean, in Texas, they were able, when they were looking at the Dominion machines for possible use, at multiple instances where they could easily manipulate vote tallies, vote totals, and vote outcomes. And that's why they decided against using those machines in Texas elections.
Well, isn't it true, though, that you can go in during the time the ballots are being tallied and see where you're at, so you can see, I mean, I don't want to say this wrong, but from my understanding with that particular software, while ballots are still being tallied, someone can log in and basically see who's winning at any particular time. Was that not true?
I'm not 100% sure how the full Dominion services work, but I can tell you we've seen multiple studies where they could be manipulated, and that should worry people, especially when we know that 6,000 votes were caught in Michigan. But the question is, how many weren't?
So let's talk about Georgia for just a second. So we have Floyd and Fayette County, and you got thousands of votes, and a third one, and a third county being looked into right now. So, like I said, why is every vote all of a sudden, counting every vote? Why all of a sudden is that such a bad thing, for Democrats? Why is that, hindering, our democracy, which we don't live in a democracy? But all these people, these thousands of people, like they almost didn't have a voice in who they, elected, and there have been seats that have switched. I mean, county commissioner races and things like that have, that really affect people's lives that has come out in this recount that they're doing.
Well, that's right. I mean, Democrats always charge with Republicans with attempting to disenfranchise voters. And here in Georgia, we are seeing during this recount and audit that thousands of Georgians were almost prevented from having their voices heard. That's actual voter disenfranchisement. That's what Democrats were actually trying to do here by saying this is done and over and Joe Biden won Georgia. We know that we want to make sure we get every legal vote counted, every illegal vote tossed, and all of a sudden we now have 2-3 counties that are finding votes for President Trump. This is exactly why we're pursuing this. This proves that President Trump was right, that not every legal vote had been counted. And we're over 2 weeks after the election at this point. Of course, we're going to keep this up. And we're going to make sure that Democrats don't try to silence us or scare us, that we get the correct outcome for the American people.
So what about these misplaced memory cards? I mean, like our election officials here, they seem to have done a really good job. So I'm not, not really talking about them, but you have one job, and how is there lost memory cards when it comes into these, races? Why should that even be a thing? Why should there anything be getting lost?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think that there's going to have to be, and especially in Georgia with the upcoming runoff that you guys have for the Senate seat, to look at how these kind of issues happen. How do you almost misplace 5,000 Georgian votes? How does that happen? How do we make sure that doesn't happen so that you have an accurate outcome in an election? You guys have another one coming up real fast. Got to make sure we're getting these votes correct, because that's why people voted, so that they can have their voice heard, not so that they can pretend to have their voice heard.
I think we ought to put the IRS over it because, man, they don't miss a penny. I guarantee you that. But let me ask you another question. Now, if this thing makes it to the Supreme Court, and we've already seen the violence in Michigan where they threaten these people to vote their way, do you think that's going to weigh in on their decision as far as the violence that could erupt over the election if actually they find that they are voter fraud and that Trump is the winner? Do you think that's going to weigh in on their decision, or do you think they'll go by the law?
Oh, no, I think the Supreme Court ultimately is a solid constitutional body that is not swayed by public opinion or threats. We saw going into Election Day cities boarding up windows because they believed Donald Trump was going to win. They knew the president was going to win, so they were getting ready for violence and for mobs. Just this last weekend in D.C., we saw supporters of President Trump violently attacked, fireworks launched at them for being out supporting the president. Democrats and the media. I did a very contentious interview on Fox News on Saturday where the host just tried to scream over me the entire time. And they wonder why it's okay for people to threaten Trump supporters, to violently attack Trump supporters, because they don't like us, they don't like what we stand for, and they think intimidation will work. In the outcome, in the long run, it won't work.
So let me ask you this. So the Georgia Secretary of State just announced just shortly ago that they're investigating the flood that occurred in Fulton County. So there was a flood that happened right, in the middle of the night when everything's going on. Republican poll watchers left. They were told the counting was done, but it resumed after they walked out the door. So just really quick, give us your opinion on just the Secretary of State, the governor, and their handling of this election. There's been some pushback on them a little bit. Tell us what you think.
I mean, ultimately, we want to make sure we get this right and that it's equal access and that we're counting all votes, and everybody should want that. And we're going to make sure that happens in Georgia and in states across the country. And we have good partners across the country. We have incredibly strong legal teams as well. So we're going to make sure that this happens.
So let me ask you this. As the average person, what can we do to help?
I mean, the best thing you can do to help is if you've heard of fraud, make sure you're telling us about that. Make sure you're engaging with us on that you're sending us that information so we can make sure we're protecting the election. And that in Georgia, you stay engaged. You help register voters, because Democrats are actively right now telling people to try and move into the state of Georgia for 1 month to claim residency so that they can vote in the January election for the Senate. This isn't over yet. It's not over for President Trump, and it's certainly not over for the Senate. We've got to make sure that every Georgian gets out and gets ready to vote on January 5th.
All righty. Well, if we left anything out, is there anything else you want to throw in there before we call it?
I mean, we're going to keep chugging ahead. We have the biggest fighter in the White House. That's President Trump, and it's our job to keep fighting for a free and fair election for him and every American.
Yeah. How's Donald Trump doing right now? Is he upset or is he kind of chilled out? I mean, he's been involved in a lot of this stuff over the years.
Yeah, I got to tell you, actually, President Trump's in a great mood. He's doing well. He knows that this is a fight worth fighting. I was just with him the other day, and he's in good spirits. He's his normal fighter self, and he's excited to make sure we get this right.
All righty. Well, girl, we sure do appreciate it. And you tell everybody up there we said hello.
Will do.
All right, girl. You take care. Folks, don't forget you can listen online anywhere in the world at WJULradio.com. That is WJULradio.com. Or you can listen live at Lake 97.7 WJUL. And don't forget, we're going to be uploading this to the YouTube channel and our Facebook page. So just go to the Morning Dish. You can listen to the show again and give us a like and give us a share. We appreciate it.